Welcome back to another fantastic episode of the Striped Sweater Podcast, where the best possible time to ever listen to this show is all of the gosh darn time. I'm one half of your co-hosts, Kelp, Nougat, Crunch, Zach Main. And I'm here with
Alexander Beardsley, and we're gonna be pirates. Yeah.
Yeah, sure
Cool.
we are. Because today we are going over Arrgh and Rock Bottom, two of
Indeed.
the scurviest episodes on this here season.
And what a good time to be alive right now, because these episodes are both awesome.
Yes.
And I just want to get out of the way. First things first. In
I'm
the
the
last
realist.
episode, I was like, Arrgh? What even happens in that episode? It's a stupid, dumb episode. I didn't say that, but I feel like I kind of made it seem that way. But I think because the title of it kind of misled me. If I was aware that it was like the board game one, I would have been like, oh, yeah, okay. It would have all clicked together more for me. But I was just like, I know that they're on a treasure hunt and there's a map, but I can't really remember too much else from that. But holy darn, it's a good episode.
Yes, and you guys are going to get the greatest pleasure, hopefully, out of listening to said episode and remembering just how good it was, because it's a classic.
And yeah, we'll be laughing and giggling along. And there's going to be a lot of clips from that one, I think. When
Yeah.
I was going through and watching it, I was like, dude, it's going to be a lot of clips.
Yeah. So, you, for the first time, did dedicate an episode to people.
Yeah.
I think that this would be a great episode. Maybe not for dedication or something of the sort, I guess.
No,
but
dedicate it. Just
yeah,
do it.
this one should be dedicated to Lance and Stacy, two of my best friends. Stacy being the first guest on the podcast. They're getting married this weekend. Tomorrow. It's tomorrow. And they're two of my best friends in the world, and I can't wait to be a part of their marriage and their wedding, and it's great. So
Yeah, it's awesome. Congrats to you both, assuming hopefully one of you is listening.
yeah, you guys are getting the greatest of praise from the boys at the Striped Sweater Podcast.
Yeah.
Maybe
The boys of the Striped Sweater Podcast. We also go by the Bikini Bottom Bad Boys occasionally. Also, we're resident tough guys.
and we're gonna be pirates.
Indeed. Today we are. So how's things going, Zach? How's your week been? Just before we jump into it, get a little rickety roll in. I don't know. Rigmarole?
Yeah.
The old rope-a-dope?
Things are good. I'm slowly curing my FIFA addiction, which is nice.
Oh, is that right? How are you doing that?
I'm doing it by being treated like shit from EA Sports. It's really helping me. You ever try to break off a friendship or something, and the person is just horrible and they make it really easy? You're like, okay, now I understand why I'm leaving this situation.
Yeah,
it's the same.
I know what you
I've
mean.
always been like, man, FIFA really makes you do some dumb stuff and they hardly reward you for it.
Yeah.
But the more times that they keep messing up, it's like, all right, well, it is what it is. The only reason I play it so much is because of my love for the sport of soccer,
Yeah,
which I just played yesterday.
You love the sport. And it's funny because, oh, that's awesome. How did you do? Did you guys win?
We did. We won by a pretty good margin. I scored a goal.
Nice.
I should have scored a few, but one of them I was literally
know how
right
it
in front
goes.
of the net, and I hit the crossbar.
Oh, dude.
So stupid.
Yeah,
I'm so mad.
just roll it in, bro. I was gonna say that, right? I love baseball. I have a deep love for the game. I do not watch baseball. I will never be like, oh, I should turn on the baseball game. It's never gonna happen.
Right.
I have better things to do, and I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way. I just do.
Baseball games are long.
Well, they're long and they're not always the most exciting, but
Yeah.
to me, that is what it's all about, because it's a chess game, dude. It's literally a chess game. I mean, there is luck and errors and advantages and things, but if like there's a whole movie about, you know, the Moneyball, you know, it's like they literally went in and were like, they
did everything by numbers.
Yeah,
and
we can
worked.
look at this guy's statistics and say that, and when we match it all up, it's like we can, you know, we'll be able to score runs and, you know, and win games.
It's not like that a
know?
lot. Like in basketball right now, it's like, hey, you get 2-star players and you're good. You know, we like sports and
we don't care who knows.
Yeah, from
Unauthorized.
Wimbledon to the Astrodome.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
I'm shooting hoops to the Super Bowl.
Football, tennis, hockey,
golf. The choice of sports is so funny.
Yeah.
Football, tennis, hockey, and golf.
We are excited to watch together, and we've been talking about it the past few days, the new Netflix video that the Lonely Island put together, the unauthorized Bash Brothers experience, where they portray Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire, the Bash Brothers.
Yeah, because they bash their forearms together
instead of high fives.
Yeah.
And they do steroids, and they
have tiny little nuts.
Yes, all of that.
Yeah.
Get the steroid out my butt.
They shake that nasty butt.
Or the needle out of my butt.
Yeah.
They shake.
Hop in the
what
Lambo.
Is it, 3/4 of a butt or something? 4 halves?
4 halves of butt.
Yeah. Which is just 2
and
butts.
He goes,
yeah.
phrased weird. And they go,
no.
Not phrased weird at all.
Yeah.
Like, shake 4 halves of butt.
But check it out, especially if you like the Lonely Island.
Yeah, I mean, we here at the Striped Sweater Podcast, we're big marks for the Lonely Island. We think they're awesome. We reference them constantly. I'm pretty sure every episode has at least one, if I had to guess, reference to Lonely Island. Some of them are deep, some of them are obvious. And if you're like me, like a few months ago, I was like, yeah, I remember the Lonely Island. And then Zach started putting some of their videos on, and then I was like, wait, I love the Lonely Island. And I just went hard and like got super into them again. And they're great. Seriously, everything they do is pretty much, there's not one thing they've made that I'm like, it's not that good. It's all good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So let's get right into the episodes, gang. Are you ready, Zach?
Aye, Alex. So what are we going to say in this one? Turtleneck. Doink the doink. Dinky nuts. Squirrel Jam. DJ Tanner. And we're back. With Arrgh.
Arrgh. We're going to be pirates.
With a GH.
Yeah.
And an exclamation point.
2 R's. Right, 2 R's. This episode first aired on March 15th, the year 2000. So that puts it 1 month later than the past episode.
And one day.
Yeah, so a bit of a break. Slightly less because February is like a short month. Kind of.
Was this a leap year?
It was.
Yeah.
I remember. This episode was 10 minutes and 42 seconds long. Storyboard director was Sherm Cohen. Storyboard artist was Vincent Waller, who I believe is a new name. It was written by those two, along with Meriwether Williams, who is really spending a lot of time in the writer's room lately. Animation director Sean Dempsey. Creative director
Derek Drymon.
The driest man in all the lawn. So, episode starts with a telescope view.
Mm-hmm. And you can see an enter sign and like a road and sand and such.
So you could theoretically gather where you were before you're told, but it's very quickly that you're told where you are because it's panning back and forth, this telescopic view that we have, and Krabs is looking for customers.
He says, where could they be? They should have been here hours ago. Arrgh. He already gives the name of the episode. They said
the episode name, yeah.
Not a customer in sight. He even says, if I don't make any money today, I'll surely break out in a rash.
Yeah.
And he's that worried about money.
I like that line, right? Like it's that it causes him physical like harm to
Also,
not have it.
Would you be able to see the rash under his shell? I mean, it wouldn't be on the outside, right?
I don't know how that works. I mean,
I don't know if crabs get rashes, but crabs are considered a type of rash for humans.
I guess they are in a way. That's funny. At that point, SpongeBob exclaims, "Yippee! I'm rich." Look, Patrick, 8 gold doubloons. And just the mention of doubloons.
Yeah, because he's at the front door.
Yeah, Krabs is in the front door, and the gang is inside the restaurant.
At one of the tables.
The gang being SpongeBob and Patrick. And
gang's all here.
Krabs leaps from where from the front door all the way across the restaurant to land onto the table. This table is actually like in like the corner by where the bathrooms would be.
Yeah,
like
it's like pretty far away.
Yeah, right. That corner of the restaurant, a corner that we don't spend too much time in. Really, it's generally the opposite side of the restaurant. I feel, but
yeah, for sure.
Krabs lands on the table, and we can see that the boys are playing a board game together.
Yeah, he's like, mine. Doubloons, I saw him first.
Yeah, right. He tries to claim them as his.
Yeah,
and of course,
he's just so greedy.
And and it's funny too because SpongeBob does start out innocent, but he gets pretty like angry later on, but then also kind of goes back to like sweet boy. I don't know. It's funny. SpongeBob is easily manipulated. We will see. SpongeBob,
he's all like mine, and SpongeBob goes, "Gee, Mr. Krabs, you sure are sweaty."
Yeah. And he's like, "Where are the doubloons?" And he's like, "Oh, no real doubloons. You know, it's a game. The Flying Dutchman's treasure hunt." And Patrick holds up the box and is like, "Based on a real treasure map."
Which is funny because, like, the game is based on a real treasure map, but obviously it's not a real treasure map, right? It's just like a goofy thing.
It's a board game, right?
This is based on what a treasure map would be.
Yeah, right. It's not
like, exactly.
an actual based on a legitimate treasure map, but we find out that it kind of is.
So Mr. Krabs, when he realizes it's a game, he's like...
they tell him to take a break. A break from doing nothing, and
because they're just waiting for customers.
Play with us. And Patrick reiterates, "Come on, Sweaty."
Yeah, so they're calling him Sweaty.
Yeah,
and he's Krabs, obviously, always trying to be the good owner and manager. He's like, "Well, did you finish cleaning the tables?"
Yep.
And SpongeBob goes, "I cleaned the tables, Mr. Krabs." And he goes, "Oh, but did you scrape all the gum off the underside?"
Yeah.
And he holds the table downward, and we can see a shine from how clean underneath it is.
It is very clean, no gum at all. And then I love this part because you get that.
It's so gross.
And you get that, like, the way his voice is, like, he's actually like chewing. You know, Tom Kenny was like chewing gum. You know, his voice is like,
"I already took care of it."
All right, lads. Looks like you've shanghaied me.
And him and Patrick are both have a big mouthful of gum, and you can actually see the gum in their mouths looks like lumpy and gross.
Yeah, so what we have to assume is that they just ate the gum that random customers were placing under the table.
They ate all the gum off the bottom of the table, and
Patrick
blows a bubble.
Yeah, it's gross. Just so many different spits in one mouth.
Yeah, I know, right? And then Mr. Krab is like, "All right, lads, you shanghaied me," which I had to look this up because I wasn't exactly sure what that meant. So it means to force a person to join a ship lacking a full crew by drugging them or using underhanded means. That's what the internet said. So he didn't. It's not literally shanghaiing him.
And where does it come from?
He's joking about it. I'm assuming from Shanghai, China, right?
Yeah.
It refers to a ship,
right?
Specifically. So
and it is Mr. Krabs using sailor lingo. So we had talked about this before we recorded, but Krabs is kind of... We will find out much later that he was like in the Navy or something like that.
Yeah, but he's a sailor. He's got a sailor background.
And
for sure.
He says Arrgh sometimes, like just as is.
Yeah,
instead of mine or my, he says me.
He basically speaks like a pirate already.
Yeah.
You know?
And really, it's funny that just from the beginning, we don't think anything too weird of it. Like, if I were to talk like that, people would be like, "What is wrong with you?" But in a cartoon, it's like, okay, he's a crab. He's I don't understand
he's
the pirate talk.
He's
but it's
underwater, you know.
yeah.
There's some whatever there, but I mean, you know, he lives in an anchor. Like we've seen clues that there's some sort of like sailor theme to Krabs, but this is the first one where it's really sort of explored upon. But he does, he uses terms like shanghaied and things that a sailor or a pirate might use.
Yeah. So basically, you got me. I'll play. And Patrick starts going, and he rolls the dice, and then he goes, like, as he's moving 5, he goes, which is funny. He's making like a raspberry, as it's called, with his tongue, right? Which is going to be pretty big in the next episode.
Yeah, right.
So they do use it both times.
Yeah, it's kind of a common thing in these early episodes in general. Like, it's not the first time there have been raspberries.
Yeah.
But this is the most prominent, at least coming up. But Mr. Krabs, okay, so Patrick draws a card a la like Monopoly or something.
Yeah, like a chance.
Yeah, and it says, you know, something about your shipmate is a bad pirate.
Yeah.
You know, send him to the brig. So at this point, we get a shot of SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs, you know, next to each other. So we're at Patrick's point of view, basically. And SpongeBob is like doing the eyes. Like,
he's like pointing at him with his eyes.
Yeah, he's
but not
pointing
moving.
to Mr. Krabs with his eyes. So then Patrick, shockingly, actually gets this.
Yeah.
I feel like Patrick would be too
it's a big
stupid
reveal.
to figure it out. But he's like, all right, Mr. Krabs.
No, well, he says it's like a big reveal because he says, it's off to jail for you, Mr. Krabs.
Oh, okay,
you know?
yeah,
like
sure.
he says it.
He
and
says
then
it in
ends
that
with the
way.
name.
I gotcha. So Mr. Krabs is immediately says,
He's heartbroken.
Yeah, right. It's kind of funny too because at this point, Mr. Krabs kind of has a blank stare, like he's not into the game yet.
Yeah.
But this is like.
Well, the first thing that happens to him is he gets thrown in the brig.
Well, no,
too.
I mean, even when they just show SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs like next to each other, he's like not into it, and and SpongeBob's all giddy, like do it to him, you know?
Yeah. But
so,
he is hurt by this.
Yeah, so he fires Patrick, and
Patrick, you're fired.
Yep, and he says, "But I don't even work here."
Oh well, would you like a job starting now?
Boy, would I!
And then he puts a uniform, like
he
the
puts
hat
the
on
hat
him,
on him,
and then he goes, "You're fired," and he takes it away.
So he fires him, hires him, and then fires him again,
just so he can actually fight.
Yeah,
him.
just so he can officially do it. Right.
Loved this joke as a kid.
Yeah, it's good.
Classic comedy.
It's funny, right? But then SpongeBob takes his turn. He starts to move his piece. He picks up a card, and he is to look for the Deacon's Goose through the fork in the old tree. I wasn't sure if Deacon's Goose was something. I looked that up.
Deacon's Goose.
I couldn't tell because there's a horse called the Deacon's Goose from like the 50s, but it's like if that's what they're referencing, holy crap.
Deacon Batista's Goose?
Yeah, Deacon Batista's Goose is more like it. So I don't think it's a specific reference to anything.
It's just a funny thing.
Yeah.
And then there's so we should explain the board. It's similar to the game of life in the sense that it's a flat board, but there are plastic pieces that
there are
stick
pieces
up out
that
of the
stick
board,
out, yeah.
which is important for a later part of it. But there's like this, it's like a triangle shaped piece of coral sticking out of the ground. Like it goes up like a pole.
Oh, I mean, it looks like a tree with leaves on it.
And it has a hole. So SpongeBob goes over and he looks through it and he can see Mr. Krabs. And he's like, well, I see Mr. Krabs' zipper's is undone. And he goes, shiver me timbers.
Yeah.
And he's like embarrassed. But SpongeBob, he's just like, ha, I'm just kidding, Mr. Krabs.
And then
he goes, I'm almost to the treasure. Like, so it just said, look through the thing.
yeah, it was kind of a
anything.
nonsense thing, right?
Yeah.
And then he says, "Your turn again, Mr. Krabs."
He did say your turn again. It's his first turn.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah.
So Mr. Krabs takes his turn. There must have been a cut. There must have been a cut joke maybe earlier.
Maybe.
Could be.
Or like I was saying, maybe Krabs was in the brig, so he had to skip his turn. But because in order it would have been like that, but then we would have skipped Patrick's turn.
Yeah, it's weird.
Or maybe because Mr. Krabs was sitting through the hole. Maybe that's why it was his turn.
It's probably
It's
just
just
an
nonsense.
error. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just an error. It could have been any number of things.
Because
that
if
caused
it's
it.
not that, then Mr. Krabs just gets a regular turn here, even though he was just thrown in the brig.
Right.
which
So
seems a
he
little
rolls, but anyway, he rolls and he gets fish eyes instead of snake eyes, right? But it's
Yeah.
but it's
It's
snake
two
eyes,
ones.
right?
Yeah.
He rolls 2 ones. He moves his thing, picks up his card.
weird. SpongeBob picks up the card.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
SpongeBob picks up the card and reads it.
So he says, "Go to the X that marks the spot." He's like, "You get to dig for treasure, Mr. Krabs."
Yeah, that's it.
And there's like, it's just like a mound of little bit of sand with a big red X on the top.
Right. So
we're to assume Krabs came into this game that they were in the middle of, got thrown in the brig, which you would assume is a negative
lose
thing,
your turn
and
or something.
immediately is about to win the game
Right.
in
yeah.
one card.
Yeah,
This game sucks.
It's a big time game of chance.
Yeah. And why didn't he let Mr. Krabs read it? Like, they each read their own card.
I don't know. SpongeBob is just
He's
kind
like,
of
"Oh,
walking
yeah,
him
I
through
know
it.
this card.
He's
I'll
trying. Well,
read
he's
it."
trying
Yeah.
to like teach him the game. Mr. Krabs has never played before.
Yeah.
So
he gets the magic card. He gets the golden snitch of cards where he just instantly wins.
Right.
And he's burying his giant claws on this little mountain of sand. And he's like, "Oh, there it is. The Flying Dutchman's treasure."
No, he actually has a little. They give him a little
Oh.
shovel.
Oh, right. Does he?
Yeah.
Because I thought I remembered a shovel, but then when we watched it, I thought maybe he started. It doesn't matter. I do remember the shovel.
No, he has a little shovel because because SpongeBob gives it to him and he's all excited. He's like, "There it is," and he's like, He's getting really excited. You know,
Yeah.
gold, mine, and he's sweating. And then we have, "Hey, you're getting all sweaty again,
Hey,
Mr.
Mr.
Krabs."
Krabs is getting all sweaty again. He's not even saying it to Patrick. He's just saying it to the room.
Yeah, right.
Because
That's funny.
and it's funny that it's showing when Mr. Krabs is greedy. Every time he gets super greedy, he's sweaty.
Yeah.
Last time he thought he was going to steal gold from them, and then now he thinks he's going to get a treasure chest. This is like the excitement of his old sailor life finally coming back to him, and his shallow life as a restaurant manager. It all is not what his original dream was as a child. And this brings back the feeling of him searching for treasure, sailing the 7 seas, or however many seas they sail in
Yeah.
Bikini Bottom.
Yeah. So,
Is that deep enough?
yeah, I think that's good.
Is that rock bottom deep?
But at this point, Fred walks into the store.
Yeah.
And this is or the restaurant, I should say. And this is a popular meme, if I'm correct.
It is. It's hilarious.
Because he walks in and says,
Rev up those fryers, because I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help! My leg!
Can't you see we're closed?
Mr. Krabs like grabs him, puts him over his head, gorilla press,
Yeah.
and throws him out. And he yells, "My leg!" before he even hits the ground.
it's so funny that they actually consciously always made Fred the my leg fish.
Yeah.
Like,
As a kid, yeah, I just
I
thought it
never
would just
picked up
pop
on it. Right. I thought it was just random. It's always him. So that's like when people say, "Oh yeah, it's always the same fish." It actually is. So
I didn't
far.
realize it until this Twitter account that talked about it. a
Right,
lot.
right.
Like
I mean,
years
I
ago.
I remember seeing something about it too years ago, and I was like, "That's weird." Like, yeah, I didn't know it was the same guy every time, but it
Yeah.
literally is. It's always Fred.
And he knows he's gonna get hurt. He yells "my leg" before he hits something, but he does, and it's bad. And he's like, "Can't you see we're closed?" So now, after waiting for customers, Mr. Krabs decides to close the store so that they can play a board game.
Right.
He's pretty.
It's kind of ass backwards. He's already basically something snapped. He heard treasure and something snapped in his brain, I think.
So the end of the game is digging for this little treasure chest that opens, and it's like plastic, and then that's the end of the game. Then you play it again, and when you dig, you dig.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
kind of like it's not really a fun game. It
I
sounds
assume like the goal. I mean, it's weird because the way the board is, it like goes around in multiple like paths that kind of all lead to the center.
kind of like a Trivial Pursuit.
So it's
board.
like right. It seems like you would be able to easily get to the treasure and just get a good roll and you'd be able to get right to it.
Yeah,
and then
but
would you get to
apparently you
dig,
can't
or you just
dig.
have to wait for the card?
Yeah, you just have to get a card.
So it's
that
literally
wins, and
just
every other
roll
card
until
does-
someone picks the right card.
Every other card doesn't mean anything, apparently.
Right.
You just look through things and you put people in imaginary brigs, and that's it.
Yeah.
So Mr. Krabs, though, he's like, all right, boys, you ready for another round? This is my kind of game. And then SpongeBob and Patrick are both super excited.
Yeah, they're into it, and
Yeah, hooray, we're
and
gonna get
Pat
to play.
and Krabs rolls first, and he rolls a 6, and he starts to count, and then suddenly it's become nighttime. So
Yeah, so you hear him just taking his turn, and then you can hear him like saying other numbers, like he's counting other things, like they've been playing.
right, and he says,
For a
"I win
while.
again," and there's that like droopy like music. Patrick is asleep, and SpongeBob looks like he's beat. You know.
Yeah, I've been at this point with friends, like staying up playing cards and stuff.
Sure, yeah. No, especially playing cards where I don't know. I like cards, but I'm not like one of those where it's like I want to play all night. It's all I like to do.
Euchre's great though.
I do love euchre, but it's like eventually I'm gonna not want to play euchre anymore.
Yeah.
It's like there will come a time in the night where I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done. You know, like I
Yeah.
played 25 games. I'm good.
So, yeah, he goes, oh, that's 17 times in a row. So since that first one, they played 16 more games, which they seem like they can be over short. Obviously,
Yeah.
be over a little long as well.
But they played a
But-
lot of games.
And
yeah.
it seems like it's completely based on luck, but Krabs somehow is,
He's really good at it. Yeah, he wins every time somehow.
and
Or
SpongeBob,
we're to assume.
and SpongeBob is like, man, we need to call it a night. I got to get some sleep. And Krabs is like chipper. He's like, oh, you can't walk out on me now. I'm just gonna keep playing this game for the rest of my life.
Right, but SpongeBob is like, I'm sorry, Mr. Krabs. And he grabs Patrick and puts him over his shoulder easily, which is strange.
Yeah, it's really been working
Yeah,
out.
really strong.
That remote control.
and he's going to walk
workout.
all the way home with Patrick. Or is he? Because he says, see you tomorrow. He leaves. And then we see SpongeBob walking up to his house, but he doesn't have Patrick. I guess we are to assume that he just dropped Patrick off. But
because
the way
it's on the way home.
right, well,
Oh, right? You said
no, that doesn't.
because the Krusty Krab would be on the left.
But the way it looks, we were both talking about this. The way it looks is like he's walking from my way, but but if you really look at it, he's just walking straight.
yeah,
So he could be coming from either direction,
right.
really.
But he's already ditched Patrick, and he.
Is walking into his house. He opens the door, and Krabs is waiting in the dark, just jingling the dice in his hand, in his claw, I should say. All right, SpongeBob, one more game. I can smell the treasure. And he's like, Mr. Krabs. It's funny
Yeah,
because
he turns
SpongeBob
on the-
is already like at his wit's end. He's not entertaining anymore,
Yeah, but he turns the light on, and Krabs has like a card table and like chairs set up in SpongeBob's house.
Right, in the dark, no less.
Yeah.
So this man is crazy. Is
Yeah.
another hint.
He's just sitting there rolling dice, and then the light comes on.
Yeah.
like
And he's like,
crazy.
Krabs, it's late. Go to bed. Good night. And he pushes him out the door, right? And then when he turns back around, Krabs is already back in his house with his table and everything, rolling the dice, or shaking the dice again. SpongeBob goes to open the door to be like, get out,
Well,
he's out there.
Yeah, exactly. So everywhere he looks, Krabs is already
Yeah.
going there.
It's ridiculous.
And he's like, the wind is perfect, the tide is right, let's hunt for treasure.
And
you
he's
know,
like-
like he's really trying to convince
and
SpongeBob.
and SpongeBob is really trying to be like, no. And he's like, I'll roll for you.
Yeah, so now he's at the point of like, I'll just roll for you and I'll move your guy. And it's
Yeah.
like, you can just do this yourself, actually, if you're going to play as
Yeah,
other
if
people.
you really
but-
want to just play a board game by yourself, I guess you could.
Yeah.
Mr.
1, 2, 3.
Mr. Krabs, I want to go to bed!
I love that, though. It is really aggressive. Like, I want to go to bed.
I think it's the most aggressive we've seen him because we
Yeah.
have seen SpongeBob be like snide or slightly rude occasionally, but now he's just like
He's tired.
angry. Yeah, this is like sleepy, angry SpongeBob.
Well, oh yeah, we haven't seen that yet. I was thinking of the time where he's like, He's like, "You listen, you crustaceous cheapskate."
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, shaking.
That's a great.
But that hasn't happened yet.
That's a great one. Yeah.
So yeah, he yells at him, and then it's like, Mr. Krabs looks sad. He's like, "Mr. Krabs, I'm sorry. It's just a game, you know."
That's right. Of course it is. My mistake. I guess I got a little carried away, eh? Though it is treasure we're dealing with here. Sorry for disturbing you, lad.
He says this is treasure we're dealing with here, to try to be like, it is kind of important. Like, I think that's what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to say, like, well, it is kind of important, but if you don't want to play, I
or
guess,
he's like, he's realizing, like, ooh, treasure really, just the thought of treasure put me in a bad place. Like, that's my bad.
I
But
guess that's true, right?
He takes the board,
he's admitting that treasure makes him crazy, perhaps.
He takes the board and he leaves, but he leaves the table there and the stools, like, so he just leaves the stuff outside SpongeBob's house, and we see SpongeBob go in. It goes to morning time, and the table's still out there, so he just left it out.
How does he?
The next thing that we get is SpongeBob in his room, and we hear, "Avast! Pineapple ho!" And and SpongeBob like wakes up, and he's like,
he's already annoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, like he must not have
Go
felt like
home
he slept
already.
alone.
I'm done playing that game, Mr. Yeah, he puts his head out the window. It's like, I'm done playing that game, Mr. Krabs. That's Captain Krabs to you.
He also says, prepare to be boarded. Like he's boarding, you know, it's like a pirate thing.
Oh, yeah, right. And
he's
then,
on an actual ship.
And he says, and this is no game. We're going to be pirates.
We're gonna be pirates!
Pirates?
Aye! How'd you like to go on a real treasure hunt with a real treasure map?
Treasure?
Yeah, and then Patrick, like,
At this point,
he peeks his head out of the pine, like
from
out of
behind,
the side of
from
the
behind
pineapple.
the pineapple. Yeah, he's just like on top of it.
Yeah, maybe that's where SpongeBob put him at night. He just, because he can, you know, starfish can just stick to stuff like that.
Sure, right, yeah. I mean, I guess it would make sense for him to stick to things, but yeah, so they both, Patrick pops up and they're both like, treasure. They're all excited and
they look stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, they look dumb and they leap off the house towards him and run up to the boat. And this boat is, I guess, like an old-fashioned boatmobile, kind of.
Well, it has oars. It has
Right.
like white oars. It does look like a pirate ship, but it's not huge.
But
it'd be like the size of a U-Haul to compare.
Yeah,
to
I mean, I guess just in the sense that it's still a vehicle that, and it goes along the floor like a boatmobile does.
Right, but
you
it
know?
doesn't have wheels. It does float.
Right. It doesn't have wheels, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, like a earlier version of a boatmobile, I guess.
Right.
That's kind of what I thought of it as.
Yeah.
But then
yeah, so you can see that they're like right on the entrance ramp. They're on the bottom and they're like skipping around together. They're like, we're gonna be pirates. Gonna be pirates.
Yeah, they skip around in a circle.
We're gonna be pirates.
You got the cadence wrong, dummy.
We're gonna be pirates. We're gonna be pirates.
No.
We're gonna be pirates.
And Mr. Krabs is like, he's like, oh yeah, he tells him to stop skipping because pirates don't skip. And he tells him
that skipping.
Yeah, belay is the word he uses.
I don't use that word.
That's that's an interesting one. And he tells him to put on this pirate garb so I won't be embarrassed to be seen with you. And
Arrgh.
And he tosses the
It's like
clothes
a bag.
at him. Yeah. And then SpongeBob comes back. He's like, look,
peg legs
and eye patches. And he's like, now do you feel more like pirates? Mr. Krabs says. And SpongeBob is like, look, I'm Peggy the pirate.
Because he has two peg legs.
And then
he's like walking around like he's on stilts.
Right, but then he falls like when he gets to the ramp.
The entrance ramp.
And then Patrick walking
comes into
towards
the same
it.
shot, right?
Yeah.
We see him fall and then the shot doesn't move.
Right.
But Patrick comes in.
I'm Blindbeard the pirate, and then he just falls on SpongeBob because he's got two eye patches.
So funny.
But also worth noting, SpongeBob has the Captain Crunch style hat, which we saw in Suds, I believe, briefly. There is a painting of him
right
in his library with a similar hat to that. So I thought that was funny. Also, Patrick has the bandana on. So that's like the two styles of pirate, right? It's either a hat or a bandana.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they have both eye patches and both peg legs when it should be one and
they
one,
should
right?
each have one. Yeah.
But
even then,
it's
not
hard
every
for
pirate.
Patrick to put on a peg leg, and
Not-
he kind of has peg legs.
Yeah, they are little pegs already.
yeah.
But we cut to
Yeah, Krabs is telling them, well, they fall, and he's like, "Arrgh," and he's like, kind of like, geez, these guys.
but then we cut to them sailing along the ocean floor.
Yeah,
and
Patrick is steering the boat.
Or
Krabs
rowing
is
it.
Oh, yeah, he's rowing it.
Theoretically,
Krabs
Krabs would have the wheel, probably.
Yeah.
The helm, if you will.
But there is none because this is oar-powered.
Well,
he's
no,
just
there would still be a wheel for the rudder. That's how boats work. The oars, in this case, that's how it would work. A rowboat doesn't have a rudder, but like a
Yeah, but
big
this
boat
doesn't
like
have
this
a
would.
wheel, right?
I don't
This
know.
one?
I think it does.
Well, it definitely has a perch because we see
It has a place
SpongeBob's
where
up there.
it would be. Yeah, I don't know. So we checked. There is a wheel. So
Yeah.
Krabs is at the helm. Patrick is moving the boat, and SpongeBob is
Is the
in the
lookout.
crow's nest. And Mr. Krabs tells him to keep a sharp eye. According to the map, we're close to the first landmark. And SpongeBob is like, "Oh, really? Can
Yeah.
I see the map, or can we see the map?" He includes Patrick.
No, only the captain can lay eyes on the map.
And this is our first clue that something's fishy.
Right, 'cause it's
but
like,
I
why
mean,
wouldn't
you
you?
could kind of assume something was before,
he
but
just found a treasure map.
right.
but-
Where did, or I guess he could have an old treasure map theoretically.
Yeah, and-
It's not out of the question. I guess that's what SpongeBob and Patrick are believing, that he just has old treasure maps. Like, we're going on a treasure hunt. This is sweet.
Of course. And SpongeBob replies, "Okie dokie then."
Yeah.
And Mr. Krabs is annoyed again. He's like, a pirate doesn't say okie dokie then. A pirate says arrgh. So instead of what he's saying is, instead of okie dokie then, replying in the affirmative, just say arrgh. That's like
Yeah.
all he's saying.
Right.
But SpongeBob is like, okie, oops,
Arrgh, Cap, Arrgh, we're Arrgh, about Arrgh to hit Arrgh.
Out with it, man! Arrgh! Arrgh! Think! Arrgh! He's trying! Arrgh! To say! Land. Arrgh! From now on, only the captain says Arrgh! Status report, Mr. Squarepants!
The whole ship is underwater, Captain.
Arrgh! We're marooned then. Our treasure hunt will have to continue on foot.
I like this line a lot. He goes, "Status report, Mr. Squarepants," and SpongeBob replies, "The whole ship is underwater, Captain."
yeah, but he says it kind of like happy.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, like he's just doing his job. And he says, "Arrgh, our treasure hunt will have to continue on foot." So they start to walk, and eventually they come up to this seaweed with 3 leaves on it. And Mr. Krabs remarks, "This is it, boys, from the seaweed with 2 leaves on it, 10,000 paces east."
Yeah, he's like, wait, but Mr. Krabs,
They're-
that seaweed has...
Yeah, they're. I mean, immediately as soon as he says 2, SpongeBob
Yeah, they,
like
get
there's like a sound effect for them to be like, "What?" Yeah,
Yeah. He's like,
because
but
it's
that one has, and as he's saying it, Krabs plucks off the top one, so it's just 2 left and right. And he's like, oh, which way, Captain?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, no, this is it.
Yeah.
So, Krabs also, if he's really looking for treasure, obviously this is not the right thing.
Yeah, he's making it up as he goes along.
And also,
you know?
we're now to assume that they're still in Bikini Bottom.
Yeah.
This treasure map is of Bikini Bottom. It's not like, if I found a treasure map, it could be like halfway across the world. But
Right.
he's like, oh, no, this is here.
Just so happens to be Bikini
He's like, oh, this
Bottom.
one should have this one should have 2 leaves. Or he's like, just get these stupid
Right.
boys to...
But also,
go
like,
along.
they're in Bikini Bottom, but they're not, like, anywhere near civilization. They're, like, out in the ocean floor. Like, there's no buildings or anything around at all. It's all just flora.
Yeah. And Mr. Krabs, not really understanding just how dumb Patrick is, I guess, not knowing him that well yet. He's like, which way is east? Because, yeah.
Right.
SpongeBob's like, which way, Captain? He goes, Patrick, which way is west? Or, which way is east? He goes, and you can see the compass. It's like showing north and
It's
south.
it's a close up, one of those close ups, like
Yeah,
a painting, and then but it's his hand, but then the dial on the compass is actually animated,
Yeah,
and it
it's
has
like
a little
moving a
sound
little bit
for it to be
magnetic.
like woo 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 woo. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
And then we see him point, but we can't really tell which
Yeah,
way
there's
he
no way
points.
to know which way he points. He
Yeah,
just says
'cause
that
it's
way.
kind of just
right.
off the shoulder of the cameraman. If you were to
Right.
like,
And then we cut to 9,997 steps later.
Yeah.
And they, 98, 99, 10,000. Where's the X? Supposed to be right here. 10,000 paces east.
and it's funny because like you would think when you got close, you didn't have to count every one. You would have been able to see the X.
I was going to
already.
say, don't even count at all. Just start walking until
you
you
see
see
an
the
X.
X. Why do
Yeah.
you got to count?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Paces could be different for different people.
I
but
guess.
it's it's what a pirate does, I guess.
Sure.
They count by paces.
Sure. And then he's like, well, this is when we get this great line, which might be line of the episode, perhaps. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say.
Supposed to be right here. 10,000 paces east.
Oh, east? I thought you said west.
West? What kind of compass are you reading, lad?
This one, sir.
That's west, Patrick. You're fired again.
Definitely a thing that we say all the time, especially as like if you're a co-pilot somewhere and they're like, hop on 96 East. And they're like, which way? West?
Yeah,
You know?
right. I thought you said west.
Yeah.
Just get on west and just say, I thought you said west.
Yeah. And
You stupid idiot.
And
Try
then-
to blame it on them.
Krabs is like, West? What kind of compass are you reading, lad?
Yeah, he takes a look at it. He's like, this
Some
one,
shit.
sir. And now we get a close-up of Krabs' claw holding the compass. Same shot, just Krabs' hand now. Or claw, I'm sorry. I keep calling it a hand, and that just doesn't feel right to call it a hand, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's a claw.
Big meaty claws.
And he's like, that's West, Patrick. Like, it's such like a defeated, like...
Yeah. So now they have to go 20,000 paces west.
Right. And
10,000 to make up.
Right,
10,000 to
right.
go.
So the boys are crawling behind Mr. Krabs, and even Mr. Krabs is tired, but he's at least still on his feet.
Yeah, they're at 9,551 when they come back.
Right, so they still got a few to go. And
I would assume, well, obviously, it is in the one direction. It's not like from the beginning again. Like, they already went back to the beginning, and now they're 9,500. So they've gone 19,500 at this point.
right, and they exclaim that they're tired and hungry, and Mr. Krabs takes offense to this and is like, "Oh, you're a little tired and a wee bit hungry. Well, shove off for home." And he points his finger right in their face, and
Yeah.
they look like they're almost about to cry already, and then their eyes and lips like sink into their face, like when he
Yeah.
points at them, like.
You get a little tired and a wee bit hungry, and you want to shove off for home. That sickens me. A pirate is not judged by the notches in his cutlass or the size of his booty. A pirate is judged by the loyalty of his crew. And without a loyal crew, what am I captain of? Just a bunch of sand.
Don't cry, Captain Krabs.
Yeah, we'll be your loyal crew.
You'll stay with me then?
We'll be the most loyal pirate crew ever.
And he like picks the sand up in his claws, and he's crying, and then Patrick and SpongeBob start crying.
I'm just the captain of a bunch of sand.
And then SpongeBob's like, "We'll be your loyal crew." And then that's when Mr. Krabs like
He's crying,
stops
and then
crying,
he
right.
like looks. He's like, really?
it's like, "You'll stay with me?" And then they're also just suddenly not crying anymore, and they're like,
Yeah. We'll be the most loyal pirate crew ever.
"I knew I could count on you boys, one for all."
And all for one.
And then we cut to the nighttime, and the tent is set up. SpongeBob and Patrick are laying down on the ocean floor.
It's funny here, right? Now they're going to be the most loyal ever. SpongeBob's like, I'm so loyal, I don't even mind sleeping on the cold, hard ground while Mr. Krabs sleeps in his warm, dry tent.
I also wanted to say SpongeBob's legs are all like zigzaggy in this shot. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh,
I don't know why.
Not really. It must be because he's about to
He's
be
cold or
animated
he's
to move. I don't know.
No, I think it's like because he's cold and like
He's like just trying to keep
compressed. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
but
his legs pressed.
I'm sorry, I
together
didn't
more.
mean to. I just wanted to mention that. I thought it was funny.
Because he's got that big thigh gap, you know, that all the women are
that
looking
huge thigh gap.
Yeah.
Huge.
Like, to get his legs to cross, like,
Oh man.
Not easy.
There'd still be a gap even when he crossed his legs.
yeah. He'd have to be, like, full Native American style sitting.
Yeah. While he
That's the
Yankee his tiger.
So, Patrick's like, I'm so loyal, I haven't bathed in weeks. SpongeBob's like, but we've only been gone a few hours.
Which is funny though because they've been gone since morning and it's now nighttime. So
Right.
a few hours.
Yeah, he's cutting it a little bit short.
Yeah.
He's like, I know. And SpongeBob, like, wriggles away.
Yeah.
Like he gets an extra foot between them.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like a second of he's kind of like almost like ugh, like he's got this
grossed
like
out.
you're pretty gross, Patrick.
yeah. And
I just love how Patrick says it like proudly too. He's like, I'm so loyal. Like it's a great thing that he's done.
yeah.
But anyway, SpongeBob says, I'm so loyal, I don't even want to sleep until we find the treasure. Let's
Yeah.
go ask Krabs if we can go now. And
So they went from being hungry and tired to now nighttime, and
now they just
still
want to keep
haven't
going.
eaten
Right.
or slept. But yeah, they just want to keep going because they're loyal now because of the speech.
And they enter the tent. Mr. Krabs is not in there, but we see a cot and a little like table with the
Cat? I'm a kitty cat.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. I forgot about that, dude. That's funny.
Yeah. So,
Cat-
but
I'm a kitty cat. And then doesn't he eventually go, and I'm meow, 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 and I'm meow, meow,
Yeah.
meow. Oh, man. Early internet memes.
yeah.
I guess it's not really early internet, but it's like, you know, teenage years.
Early internet entertainment.
Yeah, like just like, I mean, it's a meme, essentially, you know? Like, everything is a meme, you know? A meme doesn't just have to be a picture. Like, Rick rolling is a meme, you
Well,
know?
a meme is just it's another form of communication, essentially. It's like cave drawings for cavemen.
Sure.
It's a similar style of communication.
I actually looked up what the word meant. I can't remember now. Inside the tent, we see a table and a cot. On the table, there's a pencil and the map rolled up. And there's like, I think that thing's called a compass as well. That thing with the, the thing to draw a perfect circle. You know, you put a pencil into it and then it's got a spike on it. And you put the spike on the paper and you can draw a perfect circle. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I don't think it's called a compass though.
For some reason, I feel like it was, but yeah, it is called a compass.
Oh, it is.
Compass.
Oh yeah.
Drawing
Pencil
tool.
marking compass.
Yep.
Oh,
So
you're right.
yeah,
Or yeah, I thought it is kind of. Never mind. Protractor is obviously something.
protractor is something you use it in you use it in like geometry, right? Like I don't know. Yeah, I mean geometry, angles and stuff. It's all about angles, circles, diameters, all that shit.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway,
I just thought it was like a stand-up protractor, but I guess it is. I mean, I think that they're similar, but yeah.
I've always heard it called a compass, I believe.
But it is in there.
It's in the same kind of family of tools. I
The
guess.
person or the thing that's not in the tent is Mr. Krabs.
Right, and
Where is he? I mean, they're in the middle of
yeah, where
nowhere.
did he go? Right, I know. Just to probably behind the tent, firing one up.
He just
took you
went
a
on
second.
one of those walks.
Yeah, one of those walks.
So they're like, oh, he's not here. And Patrick's, ooh, look, the treasure map. And the treasure map is folded up as like a paper would be. It's rolled up on itself. It would have to be made of paper.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean it is right. This part is pretty funny just because of the inconsistency of it. But
Yeah.
SpongeBob is like, only the captain can look at it, and Patrick's like, yeah,
And he's, like, walking
already
over to
walking
it.
over to it, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, you're not supposed to look at the map. And he starts
He
poking
pokes
it.
it, yeah.
He's like, I'm not looking, I'm touching. There's no rule against that, is there? I just like, it's kind of funny how Patrick is just like breaking the rules. Like,
Yeah.
I guess he's not, but he's being a smart ass, you know? He's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm just touching it, you know? And SpongeBob's like, well, I guess you're right. And they both start poking it, and then it opens, but they don't look at it right away. They like watch it open, and
Yeah,
they're
and
just
then
looking to the side, and then they
They
look at each other.
Yeah.
And this is a great gag, and I love it a lot. This was very memorable, and like, it's still funny to me. Just the cartooniness of it, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, first he's like, "Oops, Patrick, it opened by itself."
Yeah, he's so like
Yeah.
giddy about it.
Right, and they're
then
looking at each other.
They look
and
at
then-
each other, and then they both start looking at the map. But the cartoon gag I was explaining before is that their eyes physically shoot out of their heads and start to like touch the map.
Survey. Yeah, they're
And
like surveying.
Yeah, and like go all around, and they crisscross with each other and everything, and they both like get a good look at the map.
They're really
that
scanning
way.
it.
Right.
Yeah, they're like, the map, gotta see it.
Yeah,
Ah.
gotta see it.
Yeah.
And
I look at it.
And then at the same time, their eyes all shoot back into their heads, and they're like tiny now.
Yeah, like there's a big black ring where their eyeballs should,
Which
like,
is a
where it
thing,
normally is,
right,
down
it's
to
like
where
in-
they're tiny.
It's like in Tea at the Tree Dome. It's like a reoccurring thing in SpongeBob
It's
where
a-
their eyes get too small for their eye holes.
It's usually a look of like, I've seen some shit, or like I'm going through some shit.
right. It's like your eyes are all shriveled up.
Yeah.
Because
And-
your life sucks.
And they're not even looking at each other. And Patrick's like, SpongeBob, they're just looking straight. Yeah. Did you notice something familiar about this map? Oh, you mean that it's our board game taped to a piece of paper? And you can see that it's the board game.
It even has the pieces on it.
It does.
this
So it
time.
wouldn't have been able to fold up like that.
Right,
And,
right. Which is whatever, you know. But that's the joke, is that it's literally, it's not even like he just drew the game board on a piece of paper. He literally just taped it. Like, it's just a joke to be like, this is how stupid Krabs is.
yeah.
Like,
And he stole their game.
right, yeah, that too. But this is great. I love the timing on that, where he's like,
Mr. Krabs starts to rise up from
well,
behind them.
Well, he just appears behind them. It just cuts to them behind him.
Oh, right. It shows the map.
Because he
and then
goes,
cuts
did you
back.
notice something familiar about this map? He says, you mean like it's the game board taped to a piece of paper? That's when we see the map.
And then almost
it
immediately-
back, Krabs is there, and he goes, do you think this is a problem?
And then it like cuts to outside the tent, and they're like, "Ah!" You can like hear the scream.
Yeah, they're freaking out
Mr.
because they've been
Krabs.
caught.
SpongeBob,
Yeah?
did you notice something familiar about this map?
You mean like that it's our game board taped to a piece of paper?
Do you think this is a problem?
which is they're
obviously-
breaking the rule.
Right, and obviously Krabs is crazy as it is, so they're afraid of what he might do to him or something.
Yeah.
Because he's like, mutiny! And it says
Sneaking
also...
peeks at me treasure map.
Yeah, right. That's mutiny on my ship. So and then this is where he basically tells us that he has gone crazy, because he goes,
So you think old Captain Krabs has gone crazy, do you?
Not at all, Captain Krabs. We don't think that at all.
I think that.
and Patrick, ever the perfect timing, I think that, which is a great line.
Yeah, and Krabs yells, "I'm gonna throw you overboard for saying that." It's like they're not even on the ship anymore. What are you gonna do to them?
Yeah, right. But they're both like cowering in fear, so they crouch down, and that's
Yeah,
when it's
they're
revealed.
like crouching down in fear and
Right.
shaking of like Krabs is gonna unleash his wrath.
Yeah, he's
on
gonna
them.
beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, but then
they
you can see,
yeah, they like kneel down, and then it's revealed that they are on top of the X, which marks the spot.
It's just a giant red X in the sand.
Yeah, literally. And
So because they found the X, we have to assume they didn't walk 500 steps away from Krabs. Their paces method, they probably should have just kept walking and found the X, because obviously it was before 10,000.
right, and Mr. Krabs says X marks the spot, and his eyes shoot back into his body, and out comes an X, and it just floats like
Yeah.
in the air where his eyes would be. It's not
Yeah.
even attached to him. And SpongeBob was like, wow, that game really is based on an old treasure map. And then that's when Mr. Krabs is like, well, what are you waiting for? Dig, 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 dig. And he just makes them
They're digging
do
with
the
their
whole
hands,
thing,
like
right, with their
dogs.
hands, right. And they dig, I mean, it seems like they go pretty deep, because there's like a transition to let us know that some time passed. And
Yeah.
then SpongeBob is like, "We got it, Captain Krabs," and he's like, "Hand it up to me," and he goes, "Heave," and he like.
Yeah, so he pulls them up with enough force to like bring them up with the chest, and it's sitting there, and then we get this like angelic, like singing voice.
Well, they open it up first.
Oh,
and,
right.
And you see what's in there. And I wanted to say that there's the shoe, like the woman's like high heel shoe with jewels all over it.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember this in a lot of cartoons and other media as a kid. Like there would always be coins.
high-heeled.
There would always be coins, necklaces, and things, but there would almost always be some kind of jewel encrusted shoe. I feel like.
Yeah, because women love shoes.
I guess. I mean,
They're valuable things.
I
Shoes-
guess
some shoes are expensive.
it's true. Some shoes are like worth more than your house. It's crazy.
But they open it up. Yeah, there's like you said, there's diamonds, there's gold, there's a little bit of everything, necklaces.
Yeah.
and it goes, the Dutchman's treasure.
Yeah, which once this started, when I was watching it, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I
I
remember
love
that.
this.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I feel like this is one of the first episodes I remember really liking a lot that I watched as a kid, because I've mentioned in the past I wasn't really a fan, like a super fan right away. It took me a little while, but I really remember this one fondly. But anyway, they get the Dutchman's treasure, and then at that point, SpongeBob and Patrick start talking about shares.
Yeah,
what
what are you
they're going to do with their share, you know?
And Krabs is like, shares? You're not getting any of me treasure.
Yeah, it's
Well,
just
he says
funny.
mine.
The look on Krabs' face is like his expression just drops to like.
It's like, are you
what
kidding
the
me? We
fuck?
didn't talk about
yeah,
shares.
What are you thinking? Right, this is
Yeah.
all mine.
It's like, well, we found it together, so we deserve a share.
well, yeah. I mean, they did all the work too. He
Yeah,
was
they
just
did.
he was just the captain. I mean, I guess he is the oldest and the wisest, essentially, but he's also just an a-hole.
He's greedy. He's gone
Right.
mad with.
And then
Captaincy.
we have the he's like, well, I'm the captain and I say it's mine, and then
they start
SpongeBob's like,
pulling the chest.
What about loyalty? And they're doing the
Yeah,
tug of
Krabs
war.
pulls the chest. He's like, I say it's mine. And then SpongeBob grabs and he's like, what about loyalty?
Yeah.
All for one for all.
and we
they're
go
like-
back and forth.
Yeah,
tug
so
of war.
that you can assume that this treasure chest is pretty heavy. They're dragging it, and it's making marks in the sand
right,
where it is.
right, and
That will be important for what happens soon.
and then we pan up to the sky where we see the Flying Dutchman's ghostly ship.
Yeah, and there's like
and-
an anchor, too. It's not on anything,
Right.
but it's down.
Right, because he's
Yeah.
anchored and he's sleeping inside, and as he sleeps, he says,
I'm the Flying Dutchman. I'm the Flying Dutchman. Who dares wake the Flying Dutchman? Keep it down, will ya? I'm trying to get some sleep.
Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob yelling wakes him up, and he says, "Who dares wake the Flying Dutchman? Keep it down. I'm trying to get some sleep." And of course, Bill Murray's brother is the voice, which is awesome. Always just fun. Whenever the Flying Dutchman is around,
Yeah.
it's pretty much a good time.
But they're still like fighting. They haven't even heard it. But then now it's like lightning, and the Flying Dutchman like flies down to where they are, and he's like, "Who dug up the Dutchman's treasure?"
And Krabs, in a panic,
He's now holding the chest in the air. So he's like now just lifting it like
he looks,
nonchalantly.
yeah, he looks like he's red-handed though, like caught
Yeah.
red-handed. But then he's like, "They did," and he throws it onto SpongeBob
Yeah,
and Patrick, and
after-
it like crushes them.
After we just saw how heavy it was, he's like, "Oh,
Right.
but I can just throw this."
And then he goes, "Arrgh, so you're the two scalawags who dug up me treasure."
And they're like,
Well, it's funny too because the Dutchman picks the treasure up, right? And he's
Yeah.
like huge compared to them. So it's like a tiny little treasure chest to him. But then when he picks it up, there's like an indentation in SpongeBob and Patrick's bodies for a second where the treasure chest was. It's like one of those like,
Yeah.
it's like stuck in them, and it
Yeah.
like pops out, and there's like the indentation. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That noise. I was looking. I don't know.
Yeah, so they're like, they do know that they deserve this and that they found the treasure. And Krabs obviously is never going to admit to anything that'll get him in trouble because he's that kind of guy. But these guys are honest, and they're like, yeah, it was us. That's kind of what they're getting across.
Mm-hmm.
And the Flying Dutchman, they're like accepting him to be like, well, screw you. I'm going to kill you. Like, why would you touch my treasure? But instead, he's like, well, you saved me a lot of digging, you did. So here's a reward for the two of yous. So, and it's funny that it is his treasure, right? He put an X on it so he wouldn't forget where it is.
Right.
But he just left it. And you see he grabs like 2 coins out of the chest, and
we
he
get a
goes to
close-up.
he gives it to SpongeBob and Patrick. And they're like, wow. And we see what it is, and we get the 2 gold doubloons.
Yeah. And Krabs, jealous, basically demands a reward because he's the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
And the Dutchman is kind of in on what's going on. So he's like, yeah, okay, I think I can find you something. And Mr. Krabs is like, gold, 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 all excited. And he gives him a little, basically the little plastic treasure chest from the game.
Yeah.
That and he's like, well, this is just a little plastic treasure chest. And then you see the close up,
plastic.
I just love that.
Yeah.
That they could do that every episode. It wouldn't get old to me. I love that. And then that's when Flying Dutchman says,
Aye, but it's based on a real treasure chest.
Gee, Mr. Krabs, you're looking all sweaty again.
I like that line a lot, like I was saying, because it's not only funny, but it's like it serves a purpose of being funny for the viewer, but it's also like it finishes the story, and it's Krabs getting what's owed to him, basically, for being a D-bag this whole episode.
And then we get again the mention of Mr. Krabs and Patrick with the last line, gee, Mr. Krabs, you're looking all sweaty again.
Yep, and that's it. What would you rate that one if you had to give it a rating, Zach?
Perfect score.
Like I said, I was really pleasantly surprised with how good that one was and how funny it was. The whole thing is a really, really good one, a classic one that I almost completely forgot about, and I feel like a fool. But we have another classic coming up. This one being named after the finishing maneuver of a popular professional wrestler around this time period. Rock bottom. In this case, it's not actually referring to the finishing move of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back in his wrestling days, but that's probably what most kids watching would know that term from.
Yeah.
If they happen to be exposed to wrestling, because the term really means like your life is out of control and you've hit your end.
Yeah.
You can only go up from here. This is the
everybody
absolute
will
lowest
have
point.
a peak and a rock bottom in their lives, and you won't even know it when it happens. You might think it is, but
yeah, right. But it's basically your lowest point. You can only go up from here.
Yeah.
But anyway, storyboard director was Paul Tibbett and Ennio Torreson. There was no storyboard artist credit at the beginning of this episode, which is the first time that's happened. And I'm not sure if they just combined those two guys into storyboard director, and one of them drew it, one of them wrote it. And it was written by those two, Paul Tibbett, Ennio Torreson, and David Fain, who is another new name, I believe. Animation director was Tom Yasumi, and creative director, our boy, it's the same guy, Derek Dryman, every time.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like at least for the first season, probably even the second season. I don't know. Anyway, so opening shot, we have the boys standing at the bus stop in front of Glove World, the amusement park.
Another fantastic day at Glove World.
It's funny though, because we have the carnival in our last episode, and now we have a theme park. Although we don't get to explore the theme park at all.
Right. But it is, who knows where it is in correlation. But it seems much bigger, it seems more like a Disneyland type thing.
But it is in Bikini Bottom. We know that.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not in Ukulele Bottom or, any of the other bottoms.
That's the only other
That's
one
the only
we've
other
heard
one
so
we know.
far,
Yeah. They both have glove hats on, and they're holding glove accessories.
Like Patrick's licking a glove-shaped lollipop.
Yeah, and SpongeBob has a giant glove balloon.
And a hat. He's wearing a hat.
Yeah, I said they're both wearing hats.
Oh, right. And we should note that all of the gloves in here only have 4 fingers because that's how many SpongeBob has.
That's just
He's actually the only one of the main crew who we can see his fingers.
That's like most cartoons are that way.
And a lot of, like, I know Simpsons does a lot of jokes about the 4 fingers.
Right.
They have that, like, oh, the 5-fingered man. What a freak.
Yeah, right. And there's God has 5 fingers for some reason in The Simpsons. That's like a thing. I don't know.
Because he's the creator. He's like
something like that, right?
The artist, you know.
Yeah, right.
He's a human. They're all cartoons.
Right.
Yeah. So they're having a great day at Glove World. They're at the bus stop, and the bus comes and picks them up. SpongeBob is trying to get in, but his balloon is so gigantic that it's like hard for him to squeeze in. But he does. He pulls the balloon.
Yeah, after a while, and it almost hits the driver, but it doesn't.
Yeah, and Patrick's like already sitting down, and SpongeBob goes to go too, and the bus driver's like, ahem, and he points to the cash box, which is just a metal box with a $sign on it.
Right. But this guy's already a little bit cranky, this driver.
SpongeBob's like, oh, let me get my wallet.
Yeah, he turns around, and in doing so, the balloon moves around with him and smacks the driver.
Yeah, he turns around to, like, reach into his pocket. So instead of just reaching backwards, he twists and reaches forward.
So the camera can see him reaching into his pocket, I guess.
So that he turns and hits the guy with the balloon. It, like, hits him in the face, and it looks like it actually hurts him. And he's like, no, wait, let me check this pocket. He turns around again and smacks the guy with this big balloon hand. It's like, no, and he turns around. He turns around to talk to Patrick and hits him again. And this guy's like, oof. He's like taking these hits, and SpongeBob doesn't even notice. It's like, Patrick, do you have any change?
Yeah, what is it, 50 cents or something?
Yeah, I would assume that's for both of them.
Right, I don't think Patrick paid. That would be weird if Patrick paid and then like didn't pay for SpongeBob. I don't know. I guess it's not that weird. But
Patrick doesn't have a job. SpongeBob does.
Right. That's true. Well, he does have a job. It's watching TV and eating donuts and ice cream all day.
That guy got hit in the head with 2 coconuts. So it's 50 cents, and so he's like looking at the driver. How much is it? 50 cents. And then he turns around. 50 cents.
Yeah.
Nope. And he hits him with the balloon again. Turns around, hits him another time.
Let me check my other pocket. And he's like, forget it. And then he's like...
Yeah, he's like looking back at Patrick.
So he turns around to the bus driver, smacks him again, and goes, what did you say? And he says, just take your seat. Thanks, mister. And he goes, yeah, whatever. And then gets smacked again one final time.
And he's like all red at this point.
Yeah, he's got like bandages on. He's like bruised.
And he's mad.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as you would be. But, and then... So the boys are sitting down, you know, the bus is going along, and he's like, show me what you got at Glove World. Patrick says that to SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is like, I got my glove light, and he turns it on, sticks it inside his head so his eyeballs light up, and he's like, I see you.
It's like it just looks like a flashlight with a glove on top of it.
That's all it is, right?
Yeah.
It's just a light with a glove on top, and you know, whatever. He sticks it inside his head, cute, whatever, innocent, fun. And then I love this. He's like, Patrick is like, I got gloves for my glove action figure.
And he puts a tiny little glove on the thumb of the big glove.
Of this bigger glove, yeah.
And then we see Patrick just looking out, and we see a sign that says, you are now leaving Bikini Bottom. And Patrick is like, hey, SpongeBob. And SpongeBob has a little glove on his nose. He's like, yeah, Patrick.
First he says, where's leaving Bikini Bottom? And SpongeBob's like, where did you see that? And he says, we just passed the sign. You are now in leaving Bikini Bottom. Which, of course, the sign didn't say in, but Patrick's dumb.
Yeah.
So SpongeBob, but hey, Patrick can read, though.
Yeah,
maybe not really good at it, but he was able to read that sign.
Yeah. He does read later, too, in other things. And he read the card in the last episode, too.
He's just, I don't know. I guess he's so dumb, I would almost think he wouldn't know how to read.
But he did go to school with SpongeBob.
That's true. They did go to school together, so.
So, SpongeBob's like, what? And Patrick doesn't get it. He's like, what's wrong? And then you see the sign that says Bikini Bottom City Limits.
Yeah, SpongeBob's got his face pressed up against the glass. He pulls it out, and his face is like circular, like the window.
because they have circular windows, like his
like a ship or
like
which
his
is,
pineapple does.
Right. I mean, all the
submarine.
places do, but yeah, it's a submarine boat type thing, right?
So it's still like it's all circular and extruded out. He's like, Patrick, I think we're on the wrong. And then you see the bus from outside, and it just starts going directly straight down.
It takes a 90-degree drop straight down, and he's like, bus, and they get flung to the back of the bus because of physics.
Yeah, both of them and the giant balloon.
Yep, and they're on the back of the thing, and then SpongeBob, concerned for everything that's happening, tries to work his way up to the front of the bus.
Yep.
And in doing so, he's making it, but the force is too great. It's like pulling his whole flesh back, like you can see behind his eyes and his lips.
Yeah.
And his clothes rip off, but his underwear is still on.
Well, yeah,
at least
so
for the time being.
His clothes rip off, and then we see Patrick only.
Yeah.
And he dodges
still at the back of the bus.
Yeah, he dodges the pants, and then he's like
he laughs,
and then he gets hit with underwear.
The underwear hits him in the face.
So we don't see it fall off SpongeBob, but it's like
his clothes have been.
I dodged that, and then it's like, oh,
he's been stripped completely naked.
Yeah.
In getting to the top, but then once it hits the bottom and the bus comes to a screeching halt, the two of them come shooting forward onto the windshield.
Yeah, they both hit the windshield, and the bus driver's still kind of nonchalant.
For a split second, the bus driver is fine until the balloon comes and smacks him up onto the thing. And it's worth noting that SpongeBob now has his clothes on as well too. Which did they magically go back onto him with being flung back?
Yeah, so then they peel off the windshield,
all at the same time.
Yeah,
and they all drop, and then
you hear that the noise of something scraping against glass.
Yeah, and then the bus driver kicks them out, literally, they get thrown out, and they're like, "But sir, we need to get back to Bikini Bottom."
And he's gives them the balloon.
He goes, "Oh well,"
and then he just drives away. And it's good that they didn't fly through the windshield, because that would have been horrible.
Yeah, they would have died.
Now they're stranded, and the bus driver's
and
gone.
they're in this dark place. They've gone down a trench, a deep sea trench, essentially.
Yes.
Patrick is like, "Where is this, SpongeBob?" And then SpongeBob,
well, what is this? It's not even where. It's what is this?
Oh, he says,
"What is this place that we're at?"
Yeah, and SpongeBob sees the sign, which is stylized. It's all letters that we in English can read. Some of them are sideways, some of them are backwards, some of them are stacked on top of each other. So in Rock Bottom, they don't write. They use the same characters, but they don't write the same way.
Yeah, they don't also only do left to right. Sometimes the words will be these ones are on top of each other.
Right,
these
so they go
kind of off.
They go up and then over, or something like that.
A lot of the S's are replaced with Z's.
Well,
Station.
Right, a backwards S is a Z.
Right, but it's more flat like a Z.
No, I know,
curvy
but
like an S.
But you're right.
It's just trying to make it look weird, but also manageably able to read.
We know that something is off about this place. That's what we're being told, basically. SpongeBob reads the sign and he's like, Rock Bottom, and he's kind of a little bit like, what the heck is this? I don't know about Rock Bottom, you know, which obviously is a joke on rock bottom, like we said before, spiraling out of control, your lowest point in your life.
Yeah, but this is
also,
rock bottom of the sea at the same time.
Which we know SpongeBob lives in Bikini Bottom. There's also a town called Ukulele Bottom. This is Rock Bottom, another town.
A lot of bottoms, because they're all at the bottom of the sea.
All the towns end in bottom, basically. So
also, we should have, it was kind of said, but they were the only three on the bus, them two and the bus driver.
Right.
There was nobody else there.
They were the only people on the bus. I think that's worth noting.
Yeah.
And he's like, SpongeBob is like, it sure is weird around here. Even the soil looks different. And he pulls up a handful of soil and it's green. and it's got a face.
It sure is weird around here. Kinda different. Even the soil looks different.
You mind putting me down?
And SpongeBob freaks out and like shakes him out in the air. And Patrick is like, I don't like it here. It's dark and scary. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. And he's like, I can't even tell the bathrooms apart. And then we see the bathrooms, which have a upside down question mark and a right side up question mark.
The one that's right side up is actually backward.
Yeah,
too.
so they're not actually, none of them are a true question mark.
Yeah, and I think the other one is a backward upside down one because
Right.
some
It's
in
li-
some cultures
it's like
use the upside down one.
It's like
Yeah.
Spanish, but reversed,
Yeah.
basically.
So they're both reversed.
But those are the two. I mean, they still have just the two bathrooms, but
Yeah.
that's how they are labeled. And Patrick is like, I can't read the signs, and SpongeBob's like, well, that's an easy one. We'll just wait for someone to come out. Someone comes out, right? And first it's, what is it?
It's like a purple fish. It almost looks like it has like a man bun type thing. Like
Yeah.
tied
It's got
back
like
hair.
a thing on top of its head, and it's.
He has no arms. He has like these weird, like little spots or something on the side, and he has green eyes.
Yeah,
and
they're
he's
like-
wearing just pants with a belt.
Right, which I want to say just now, I think this one that he comes out of, the right stall is the men's.
I
if
always
had to
thought that
guess.
too, but when we look at this, I mean, the rest of them there's only one person who comes out the other door. So he's like, maybe we should wait for one more. And then through the other door comes out this like blue, it looks like an eel thing with a big tail in front of it.
Yeah.
And like a big fish mouth.
It comes out tail first, and then its head is like curled up, like almost like a scorpion, or you said like a seahorse kind of. And it's just kind of weird, but it just like slithers along the ground, kind of like backwards. So that was just kind of interesting.
Then the next three come out of the one that we think is more the men door, because like I said, only that one blue thing comes out of the female-ish door. So next out of the men door, we have one that's like this brown fish with he has one eye, and it's like big, and then it goes into his body, and his lips are like.
Oh, he's green. I'm sorry, but yeah, he's green.
Yeah, so his like lips are on his body, and then there's like a big thing with his eye, and
He's got one
pants
big
and-
eye. He's a big one big cyclops. I mean, he's not big, but his eye is big.
Yeah. And then the next one we get there's windows too on these, like the same submarine type windows. It opens up, and this like red fish is just like pulling himself through. And he's like,
Well, they all exit through the door differently.
Yeah.
Like the green guy, the door goes up like that. And
right,
then,
it like flips like it has hinges on the top.
Right. The door works differently for each person that comes
Yeah.
out of it, which I never noticed before. I thought that was kind of cool.
So
but yeah, he comes out and he's like, "Ee!"
Yeah, and we said he kind of looks like a coelacanth.
Yeah, a coelacanth.
From Animal Crossing is where I mostly know it from, but
Yeah.
it's like a legendary type fish.
To be perfectly honest,
it's
my
safe
first exposure to that type of fish, I believe, was Reelacanth, which is a Pokemon from Generation 3, who was very
Which
rare.
came out after Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah, but I didn't play Animal Crossing
Right.
until much later on in life.
was just
But I became it's funny because I've only been playing Animal Crossing not even for the past 10 years. Like I started playing it in this decade, but I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
You know.
So he also has like a green bandana like tied to him. It's kind of weird, just tied to his body. Mm-hmm. He floats away, and then this one fish comes out. He's like blue. He has like a giant, what his nose would be, like the top of a snout, and he has like little whiskers coming off of it, and he's wearing a blue polo, and his arms are just like out like a T pose, and he's
Yeah.
got all these black spikes on his back. But his polo kind of looks just like Squidward.
That's what I thought. Yeah, it's Squidward's, but a different color. Yep.
Yeah, and then the final fish that comes out of it. Oh, he's gargling too. He's like,
They all make different noises,
Yeah.
which is funny. They're all weird and different. That's like what they're letting us know.
yeah. So that's the last fish that comes out. So SpongeBob says, or Patrick's like, I still can't read the signs. I want to go home. So now he's got to pee and he's lost,
Yeah.
SpongeBob's like, okay, well, you wait for the bus. Call me when it comes. I'm going to get a bus schedule.
Yep. And he goes to walk up and he's like, boy, this place sure is creepy. And immediately a bus is going by with Patrick's head sticking out of the window.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, SpongeBob, the bus is here.
Yeah, which to his credit, he did his job. He didn't do it in the proper order, but
Yeah, he should have did it before he jumped on.
Right. And then SpongeBob is running behind it, and we get some cool music right here, some cool like surf rock,
Yeah.
And then SpongeBob can't catch the bus. The bus goes up the slope, the 90-degree slope. And then SpongeBob tries to run up it. Doesn't get very far. Tries again. Doesn't get very far. Third time.
Gets pretty decently
real
high.
far, enough that he's off the screen, but then just comes tumbling down.
Yeah, he keeps like just smashing into the concrete.
And you like this line.
Yeah, I do. We used to quote it in elementary school. But he goes, I guess Grandpa SquarePants was right. And then he like grabs a cane and like an old beard. And glasses combo?
It's a walker.
Oh, yeah, a walker.
I think it's just glasses and eyebrows combo. I don't even think there's a beard.
So he grabs a walker and like these glasses with eyebrows on them, and the glasses are fully, like they're opaque to us.
Right.
They're supposed to be
super
like shaded.
thick. Yeah.
Like he's going blind, and
But
SpongeBob says, you can also just play it because like play the line, but I'll say it too.
Yeah.
Don't run for a bus. He puts on the stuff and goes, especially one that's going up at a 90-degree angle. And then he takes the walker and the glasses eyebrow things and he just throws them off screen. So apparently his grandfather warned him about chasing after
this specific instance.
Yeah. He's like, well, I'll just go wait for the next one.
Yep. And he's waiting and he's got his balloon. He's impatient. He's like, come on, I got to get home to feed Gary, which I know that feeling.
I know, right? You've talked about that.
Yeah. And
he still got his balloon, by the way.
Yeah.
He like left it when he ran, but when he came back, it stayed. So when he lets go of the balloon, it just floats there. It doesn't like float up. It's like has enough helium or whatever gas they would have to put in it in the water to stay where it is and not go higher or lower.
Right. And that's funny. I don't know. It's just funny that you thought of that. I like it though. No, he notices his shoes untied and he lets go.
It's important to the plot too.
And I guess it's true.
Like
yeah,
that.
I guess you're right. He notices his shoe is untied and he lets go of the balloon. And
shoes untied.
Yeah, he's like, oh, and it's funny because there will be a shoe tying episode coming up soon. But he's like over under loop de loop blah blah blah. He's talking to himself as he does it, and right as he finishes, pretty much the bus stops, and before he can really react to it, it's gone. And he's like,
so
wait, hold on.
The bus driver's there for like 2 seconds. He's like, well, this guy's not waiting for the bus. He's just tying his shoe. I'm off.
And I'm glad you brought that up because they mentioned on the wiki, which I wanted to bring up at some point, that's kind of funny. They were like, either in Rock Bottom, it's just customary to be rude and not wait for people who are like clearly waiting. If they don't get right on, then they don't want to go. Either that's their custom or it's the same bus driver from before who's like, fuck this guy. Which would make sense in certain scenarios, but in the one, you'll see the bus stops 3 times real fast.
Yeah,
it's like
and it always is going the same way.
Those have to be different bus drivers.
It's coming from the opposite way and going toward the way home.
Right. So, but
if it was him, he'd be like, oh, it's my job to stop here, but I'm not picking this dude up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought that thought was kind of funny, but it's probably the former, not the latter. Probably just custom in Rock Bottom.
Yeah. So then he's waiting again, and the wind is blowing, and it's blowing so hard that SpongeBob's glove hat it's on the side of his body now.
Yeah.
And then his balloon starts. I think he goes to fix it.
He goes to fix it, which causes him to let go of his balloon, which has been floating there for him the whole time otherwise. But this time, the wind is blowing, so off goes the balloon.
No, he goes to get his balloon, and then the bus drives up and drives off again. And he's like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But then he looks over and he sees this new fish, and it has a red light on its head.
he gets off the bus. This is the only fish to get off the bus at all.
Right,
in
yeah,
the
this
whole-
fish gets off.
the whole episode.
When SpongeBob's balloon goes missing.
And he's one of those fish that has the light attached to his head.
And he's
it's
got
it's a
big
red
lips.
light in this case.
Yeah.
And
Which means stop.
right, and he and he does not
He's got
talk.
big purple lips.
Because SpongeBob goes up to him and is like, "Can you help me?" And the creature just does a raspberry, but he doesn't say any words. SpongeBob is trying to explain to him what he needs help with.
Yeah.
But then the creature, obviously listening to him the first time, because he
Yeah.
says, "Can you help me?"
Right.
So this fish takes it as, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll help you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna go get your
but he
balloon
doesn't-
for you."
yeah.
So he runs off after the balloon without saying any words, and SpongeBob's like, "No, I need to know about the bus."
Yeah,
you know?
not the balloon. I need to know when the next bus comes.
And he's like, "Well, there goes another one." Or that's when the bus comes and goes, and then
Yeah, and he runs after it and then
right,
runs back.
and he's like, "There goes another one," and then he's like, "All right, I'm not leaving this spot no matter what." And then
I also wanted to say that fish, a lot of these small details you just like don't really look at until you like take a deep look. But that fish actually was wearing a bow tie too. That was like tied around his neck.
I did notice that, and I don't think I ever noticed it before.
Yeah,
I
me
didn't make
neither.
note of it though.
It was
That's
like
funny.
a green one. Yeah. So
And but SpongeBob is says he won't move this from this spot no matter what. He's sitting at the bus stop, or he's not sitting, he's standing there, and time passes by as we see he has become droopy. So no bus has come for quite some time now, but then his stomach starts to grumble.
yeah, his like whole, I mean, up to his eyes to his pants essentially is like rippling.
Yeah,
Even more so
with
than
the
normal.
sound effect of a grumbling tummy. Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, getting hungry," and then he's like, "Ooh, glove candy dispenser," and he's like,
Yeah.
"Good thing I went to Glove World," and he squeezes out these gloves. This part was really memorable to me for some reason too. Just that,
Yeah, he like squeezes out a bunch of gloves out of one giant glove's
Right,
thumb.
right.
The
They
thumb
all
has,
shoot
like, a
out of the
dispenser.
thumb, right? And
Yeah.
he squeezes them out onto his tongue. They're all different colors, or a few different colors anyway. And he's chewing them. Oh, they're gross.
He spits
them out. They're glove flavored.
Ew, glove flavored. So it just tasted like plastic, but he bought them.
Yeah.
Or not plastic, rubber.
Or whatever. I mean, gloves can be made out
Yeah.
of
But when you look at it, it looks
anything
like
that's not food.
when you look at it, it looks like shreds on the ground. Like it looks like he was just eating like if you took a water balloon and you like chewed it and then spit it out.
I didn't even notice that. But at this point, he notices the candy machine across the street, which is spelled with a K and a backwards N. And he's like, "Oh, kelp nougat crunch." He's like,
That's my name.
He's just thinking about it so lovingly. And he's like, "No, I'm not leaving this spot, no matter what." And then he's like, "But I'll only be gone a second," because his tummy
Yeah.
growls again. And then he's like, he runs over the machine. And while he is getting out his quarter, the bus drives up. He runs back. It's gone.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey!" And his stomach growls again. So now he does the I'm gonna take a few steps and look back every few steps.
Yep.
And
Step,
he keeps
step, look.
Yeah.
Step, look.
eventually gets
like,
to
"Oh,
the
I'm good."
thing, takes out the quarter, and before inserting it, checks again. And there's no bus, so he puts it in, and that's when it comes, and then it's gone again.
So he's willing to lose the quarter at this point. Like he's like, as long as I can get home, who cares about the quarter?
Well, yeah, right. The bus is there. He's going to try to get on any bus.
Yeah,
that
that's
he
his
can.
number one priority.
Right. So, but then he's like, okay, I'm going to do it this time. He gets down into like if you were running a race, he gets down into that stance,
Yeah.
with all your, your feet back and your hands forward, like you're going to get a good running start. Or not a running start. I don't know what that's
Like
called. It's
just
not a 3-point stance, but it's like a 3-point stance.
It's just like for a general push off for the beginning.
Yeah,
of the race.
yeah, push off for a race. I guess that's probably the right term.
I don't know, but
I never
he's
did
ready.
that.
So then he runs over and he like presses all these buttons on the machine. It's like usually you have to press 2 at most. I
Even
mean,
then, though, he pressed them all, and you can actually see that they are like rock bottom. Like they're weird. Like they're not normal characters, you know.
But he can read it, and it's
somehow he reads them and
because it gets
punches
the
them
candy
all
bar
in
that he
really
wants.
fast. And I love the music too. It's like dun 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 when he's like looking around, like it's synced up with his movements, the music.
Because now he's like, I just pressed all these real quick, and then it's like
he's waiting for it.
Now here comes the candy. It's like that, unraveling.
That style, that rolling wire style, that corkscrew style of dispenser. And
he's like, come
and
on,
it kind of gets
on.
caught, you know, and like, have you ever had that happen where I've had it happen where I straight up don't even get the thing, and it's like, fuck.
I had it happen at work.
Yeah,
and it's like, you want to shake the machine, but you know that's how people die.
Yeah,
it's like,
and you don't want to be that guy shaking the fucking vending machine.
But you also don't want to be that guy like losing out on shit.
Yeah, of course.
But I've also been the guy who's like, oh, 2 of these. Okay.
Yeah, it's happened before, right?
Yeah.
I guess you get lucky sometimes, and sometimes you get unlucky.
Yeah.
But
such is life.
Anyway, it falls down, and then right as he goes to grab it, a bus comes and leaves.
Yeah, and he like runs over
but then he runs over. He runs back and forth across the street like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Basically. But anyway, he decides he's going to go back and get his candy bar. And then again, another bus comes, but this time SpongeBob is reaching for it, but he stops as soon as he sees the bus and pulls back. And the bus reverses.
Yeah.
And then as SpongeBob moves forward, the bus goes forward, and the bus is literally moving
so they're
perfectly in sync with SpongeBob.
They're like
back,
a teeter-totter.
forth, back.
Like,
right.
You get closer, I get further. It's like back and forth.
If there was any one bus driver that it was, this bus driver might have been the bus driver from before, because this is just like dickhead behavior. There's no excuse for this. Why would a bus go back and forth and tease someone like that? You know?
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to do it other than he was messing with SpongeBob. But I love the gag too. Once SpongeBob does reach in, he pats the
candy bar.
And it's like
it revs the engine. It's like
vroom,
vroom. He's like testing it out, and instead of grabbing it, he's like, ha! And he runs over really quick.
See, yeah, I think he intentionally didn't grab it, thinking if he grabbed it would go.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't
he's
grab it,
trying to
it'll
outsmart
stay.
this bus.
Right.
But it does go away before he gets there, and he's like, now he like, so now he's gonna go get his candy. But yeah, this is the dude with the big eye that came out of the bathroom.
Same big eyeball guy. One eyeball guy. He just walks up, grabs the candy bar, and walks away.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, that was mine.
Which is like so weird. So I think it is just considered that the custom in Rock Bottom is people are just kind of rude, because that is a theme that kind of carries through everything.
It is. So he's like, hey, that was mine. And he walks over to the candy machine, but the guy's already gone. And then 3 buses like drive up and take
real
off.
fast.
And then he runs back and no more are there. And he like is shaking the bus sign like, he's so mad.
I remember really liking that as a kid, the effect of it like flinging and then continues to shake. And then he's like, all right, this is it. This is business now. So he has put some
barnacles. That's what he's yelling. I forgot as he's shaking.
He put some plans into place.
Yeah. So next time we see him, it like goes to a new scene.
Yeah.
He's at the candy machine, just standing still.
A bus pulls up.
Yeah, a bus pulls up and is waiting there for a while.
And SpongeBob is actually across the street tiptoeing towards the bus, but it takes off, and then the cardboard cutout falls down. It
falls forward.
As we see across the street at the candy machine, which the person driving the bus would be able to see that it's a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, similar to Plankton's fake Krabby Patty.
Right, in FUN. Fun. It's the same joke. It's
so
like
he would
it doesn't
see the cut up the stand.
He'd be able to tell that it wasn't SpongeBob. I mean, he wouldn't even think it was SpongeBob. It would look like who knows what's on the other side of that cardboard cutout.
It's not colored on that side.
Right. So it's just a funny gag. But, he's like, tartar sauce. And then we see a bench at the bus stop, and it's clearly SpongeBob because it's yellow and brown.
Yeah, but there wasn't a bench there before, obviously.
Right. And then, as soon as he allows his face to appear, the bus takes off. A bus stops, and then his face pops out of the bench, and then it takes off. Yeah. Fish paste. I just really remember those, like the tartar sauce, fish paste. Like, I remember him getting upset. I don't know. This is a really memorable episode, I think.
Yeah.
For me, probably for a lot of people.
So then he gets into the bus station, and it's like, first it looks like nobody's there. He's like, I'm getting to the bottom of this right now. I want a bus to Bikini Bottom. I am first in line, and no one is going to tell me otherwise. And then he looks back, and there's like this gigantic circular, like, orange fish.
Oh, he's
It's like
green, bud. Sorry.
Whatever. It's a colored
I know.
fish.
It's just funny to me when you say the totally wrong color. I'm like, ooh.
Oh, I could have just read the transcript, but I remembered him as being orange. I don't know.
No, he's green. Sorry.
And then he's like, "Oh, geez."
I don't mean to do that to you.
It's
know?
okay. You're just explaining to the people. He's like, obviously, he's kind of terrified. He's like, well, I'm second in line. I am second. And then there's like another giant, like,
huge fish that
purple
has
or
like,
blue.
yeah, purplish blue. He's got like some weird kind of like antenna type crap coming off his head.
Yeah.
But he's wearing a shirt, I think, right?
I think so. He's huge.
But then he's like, okay, I'll take third. And then there's like a angler looking
Third is
fish.
good.
Yeah.
It looks like an anglerfish.
With the light, but this one is purple. Another big one. But then eventually, you know, he gets back to the back of the line.
He's
where
like fourth, not bad.
where
And
there's
then-
more regular looking fish. Yeah.
Right, and they're smaller in size too.
Yeah.
More manageable.
Yeah. And then he's like, all right, 329th.
Yeah, not even trying to like step in front of anybody anymore. Like to like, I should be first or this. He's just like, now he's just going
He's
to
like,
the
whatever.
very back.
Nobody forget it, but he's just upset, you know, and he just wants to go home. Like, that's all he wants.
But he's trying to be forceful so he can get his way. But he's like 329th. Nobody forget it. And then just to make sure that nobody forgets it, this fish like in front of him like leans back and drops this gigantic egg. It's like 3 times the size of SpongeBob.
Regurgitates
or
this
2
egg
times.
out of his mouth
Yeah,
onto SpongeBob's head.
And it has it written in red, the number 329.
Yeah, which is totally weird, and I don't understand exactly. But he's like, well, at least the line is moving as we can hear the next.
Yeah, so that's the first time, other than the guy who just raspberried, this guy says next.
Yeah, someone
So we hear
actually
it again.
talks, right. And he's like,
And it's a rude thing to do when you're talking, so we can assume that these guys are kind of rude based on
I
that.
guess, yeah. But so now the line is moving, it moves up, and then the egg on top of SpongeBob's head hatches, and 3 smaller fish that look like the other one.
But lighter, too.
Yeah, lighter colored.
Yeah.
As they would be, generally.
Yeah. Yeah, they jump out, and now they're in line.
Yeah, right.
In front
and
of
they're just
SpongeBob.
in line, right.
So now he went from 329 to 331.
Yep, and this is when SpongeBob goes ballistic and he like retracts into his
Pants.
into his clothes. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
his arms and his head go in, but his legs
his stay out so
Yeah.
he can like dance, he can like, I don't know, just rage around.
Yeah.
And
He's like freaking out, and then he like gets out of it. And you can see everybody's just been staring at him, and then
Yeah.
they turn and like they're normal.
yeah,
again.
they're all looking at him throwing a fit. And then he's like, time is moving on. We see the clock, and it's a upside down bobber, and it's got all weird, not the right numbers on it, and some of them are letters. And
Yeah, well, like, from 1 to 12, it's like 3, period. It's just a dot. W, 111 in the same spot. 6, 1, 3 again on the bottom. FX07E.
Right, so it's a super weird clock.
And
Their
we just-
language is a bit more complicated than we know.
Yeah, the whole time we're listening, it's like next.
and the clock is moving, you know,
Next.
and it's like next, and it's just SpongeBob
SpongeBob's
who's
asleep.
asleep standing up.
Yeah.
When is the next bus to Bikini Bottom?
What?
The bus schedule, the next bus.
I can't understand your accent.
The next bus to Bikini Bottom.
Oh, why didn't you say so? Next bus leaves in 5 seconds. Ooh, tough luck, kid. That's the last one till morning.
Oh, no! No, you don't.
Good night.
Hold it! I'm not through here! Do you hear me? I demand you come back and get me a bust of Bikini Bottom right now! Until then, I am not leaving this spot!
Puts the close sign up, which I noticed the close sign is spelled all regular letters. There's no backwards or upside down anything.
We didn't mention that the attendant is also the guy who stole his candy bar, right? That came out of the bathroom.
Yeah, we forgot that. It's the same
You can't
guy.
see his face through there's like bar. It's a barred window.
Right. It's the same guy. But anyway, he's a jerk because that's like what we were saying. Rudeness is a thing here in Rock Bottom. And then the lights go off and SpongeBob's like, okay, I'll be here when you get back at this spot in the dark by myself with no one around.
Oh, except my glove light.
And he turns it on and it immediately basically breaks.
Yeah, you can see like a little like lightning bolt almost, and it like shorts out.
And this for me coming up is probably one of the lines of the episode because it was very memorable for me. And it's something I think I even think to myself often today. Like, this is not normal. Like, this is advanced. I thought it was funny.
It's a meme too.
All the street lights were out not that long ago in my hometown. And what the heck? Like, it was so dark. It was like, I couldn't believe how dark it was outside. And I was like, this is what life is like. Like, before we created lights, life was like nighttime is dark as fuck.
I know.
If there's no lights, it's crazy how like scary and dark.
Imagine
it is.
having no shelter, like
just
people,
being in complete darkness. Yeah, like.
So yeah, probably line of the episode.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
Definitely.
It's a popular meme template too.
I didn't know that. What is the meme?
You know, it's like a lot of it's like somebody posts something.
This
and
isn't
it's like,
whatever. This is advanced.
This isn't
whatever.
your everyday stupid. This is advanced stupid.
Yeah, sure,
you know?
sure, okay.
So he's like, hey, maybe he's like, I just got to close my eyes and it's not so dark. So closing his eyes is less dark than this advanced darkness in Rock Bottom.
Right. I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from. It's like my own created, simulated darkness, you know?
Yeah. And then you hear raspberries like off in the distance.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, huh?
I love this part so
Who's there?
much. It's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like, well, I guess that spot will be there tomorrow. You know, he's getting nervous because of the raspberries. I better just keep walking, and they continue.
I think I better just keep walking. Running! Better start running! 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 Sprinting! Yes! I just gotta keep sprinting! Sitting, bleeding.
Yeah, and then
it's like a panicked sprint. Like his arms
like,
are all over the place. Yeah,
and his like body is like getting small and stuff too.
Yeah,
and he runs right into the road that's going directly upward.
Right,
and he falls, and his nose is like pushed inside of his head,
smashed in like his tongue went and stepped on a rake.
And then all like his eyes look like they're even like squished in, and there's like scallops floating around his head like birds, like he's knocked out, and he just goes sitting, bleeding.
It's funny though, there's birds around the head, and earlier there's stars around the head of the guy getting smacked.
The bus driver,
it's kind of funny that there's both in one episode.
Yeah.
But at this point he's bleeding, and then he hears the raspberry again. He's like, who's there? That's enough. Don't come closer. I'm warning you. And he keeps like shrinking in size until he's like, I'm a sponge.
He's like, I'm warning you. I'm a sponge. Like that's his warning.
This is kind of a similar stupid type thing to earlier, where it's like SpongeBob is looking right at him. We, the audience, can't see what's coming towards him. But theoretically, he should be able to see.
But it's so dark.
Yeah, but that fish has a light on too. Like, you would think you'd be able to be like, oh, it's that red fish, and he's got my balloon. You'd think you'd be able to see that. You know what I mean?
Spoiler alert.
Because then the red light.
I've said that like every episode.
Yeah, you always do.
It's stupid.
You're dumb. The red light appears before the fish, and the fish is there.
Yeah, so the guy chasing him was just the fish.
Yep, and
from before.
yeah, the same one who didn't talk and just only spoke in raspberries.
Like,
and he's like,
it's only you.
Right, and he's like, and he gives him his balloon, ties it around his wrist for him, and he's like, well, that solves that problem, but I have a bigger problem.
Yeah, my balloon problem.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm stuck here. I need to get a bus home. Do you understand a word that I'm saying?
While he's saying that, the fish is like blowing up his balloon, and
Right.
also he put a light in it because his balloon is illuminating. Not just the fish himself, but the whole balloon is lit up.
I didn't even notice that, but that
Yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
why you can see what's happening.
But theoretically, I think balloons would like sort of transmit light.
But it
not-
didn't earlier, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, but then, yeah, he just
Yeah,
keeps
he's like,
blowing
keeps
up his
blowing it,
balloon,
yeah.
and he's like, and he's trying to tell him, he's like, balloon has
Yeah, you don't
enough
understand a word I'm saying.
air. Thanks. And then, yeah, and he's floating upwards at this point, and he's like,
Hey, I get it. Balloon travel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. And
Yeah.
SpongeBob's kind of like, oh, he's like, oh, geez, that
well, you
probably
do,
looks
you
stupid.
Do, you do see him waving at
Yeah.
first, but yeah, and then it's right.
Right, he's
SpongeBob
kinda
realizes like,
oh, he spoke regular.
he knew how to speak like me,
and he could talk the whole time, and he was just helping me.
right. But it's strange too, because why wasn't that fish just more straightforward before? He's just a weird fish, obviously.
I mean, he didn't know. I don't know. He like
SpongeBob-
probably the raspberry that he used was an affirmative,
Well,
kind of like Arrgh, you know.
but
It's
I'm just saying, SpongeBob spoke to him, and
Yeah.
he didn't speak normal back, even though he knows how to.
at the beginning or
Yeah.
right there. Well, at the
At the beginning.
beginning, he was just right away. He was like, "Oh shit, I got to get his balloon."
Yeah, I guess
No time to
he
talk.
he asked for help. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
SpongeBob floats all the way up.
it takes
floats-
him straight to his house.
and
Like,
and it's like
What a lucky
obviously
thing.
it's day. Well, not obvious, but it's daytime there. You know.
I'm assuming it's the next morning, right?
Yeah. Right.
Like
or,
this was an all night affair.
Or
'Cause-
it's even the same day.
well, I
Because
guess
you know we
it's
don't
fair.
technically see it go night. We're just in rock bottom.
But-
Where it's always dark.
But the bus station closes, which would lead you to
Oh,
believe
that's
that
true.
it would be late at night, potentially.
Right. So by the time he gets back, it's like it's morning. It floats him all the way back.
That's what I always read it as, but I guess you're right. It really could be any time. It
Yeah.
could be the same day. It could be several days. Who knows? I
Yeah,
mean,
we don't know if the rock bottom days are like different schedule because they won't do theirs
it
based
could
on
be
how much light is
but
there. Because
right,
there's
it's always dark down there. So
Yeah. So he gets all the way back to his house and he goes, home at last. And the second he drops and like his feet hit the ground, the balloon pops. It's
Yeah,
like
it's like
"Oh,
perfect.
can't go anymore.
It was
Yeah,
like a
I always
perfect-
remember that as a kid. Like,
that's kind of
Okay.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then good old Patrick, who apparently got picked up at his house.
yeah, or somewhere in that direction.
Yeah, and is on a bus, and he's got his head out the window, and he's like, "Okay, SpongeBob, I'm coming back for you." And it's
Yeah.
actually it's good the way that they did it, because he's out the window that's closest to the camera, right? Which
Yeah,
he
so-
should be, so we can see him, but also he can't see
see.
SpongeBob standing right
He's on the
there.
opposite side.
And that's it. Bubble transition, and we're out.
I would say this one probably my favorite that we've watched yet.
I would say these two. I mean, I would say this episode is my favorite pair of episodes that, like, I enjoyed.
As a pair for sure.
Yeah.
but just by itself, I think
Even
it'd be
Rock
top.
Bottom is really high up on my list because, like, it really was. This is one of the most memorable ones that I've watched thus far. I know there will be more that I remember as we go forward, more so, but yeah, really like this one a lot. It's a thrill ride, you know.
Yeah.
It's like a thrill ride at Glove World.
That's it for episode 17.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. 17. Yep. Oh my God, what great episodes they were. If you're a new listener to our podcast, I urge you to, go back and listen to the rest of them, but also like watch these episodes, especially these ones, Arrgh, Rock Bottom. Watch them, relive them, and enjoy, because they're awesome. But I have been Alexander Beardsley, aka Ashton Waganda, spelled ASHTONWAGANDHA. That is where you will find me on the internet, at that thing that I just spelled. And Thanks so much for listening to our podcast, the Striped Sweater Podcast. We appreciate you all so much. We, of course, are all over the internet. You can find us on Facebook at Striped Sweater Productions. You can find us on YouTube at Striped Sweater Productions. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know. And you know what? If you're enjoying yourself, do us a huge favor. Leave us a review and or rating. We would be super stoked on that. Thank you so much.
I'm Zach Main. Totally Rad _Zach, Mystified. Email us at stripesweaterproductions@gmail.com. Look for us everywhere. Love you guys. This was a great one. I wanted to point out that I was looking up what the next episodes are on here, which next week we're going to get to Texas, huge episode, and Walking Small.
Which I had to look up what that was. I didn't know it by title, but
I don't think I do either, but I think I could put it together.
What do you think it is? Because it's a good one.
It's got to be something about walking tall. Obviously, it's like a.
You got it. You got it slightly backward. Well, yes, you're right. That's the.
Does it involve plankton?
Yes.
Okay. It's the one where he.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's a really good one. I know.
So those are going to be great.
I know. I'm excited.
With this, we leave you with a final question.
Yeah.
A question that has been passed down from generation to generation, looking for a possible answer that could change the world. If one song could change the world.
Are you going to ask me or should I ask you?
I'm asking you.
Okay.
It's been me
okay, how about you ask me and you also ask the audience. And you, the audience, get a hold of us on social media and tell us what you would do if you were in this situation.
Yeah, I want someone to know. Nobody has been hitting us up lately, but people are watching or listening. We're seeing it on there.
Right.
Like, so don't be shy, guys.
Yes.
I know that you think you're never going to get it because we're sweet and shy. We're oh so shy. But don't be.
Yeah.
But.
Dump all those feelings in the river.
What in the absolute would you do with one drunken sailor? The sailor is
played by Matthew McConaughey.
So the sailor has gigantic forearms. He has an anchor tattoo on his forearms.
Uh-oh.
He has a hat. He's wearing a sailor getup. And his face looks like he like would make a mean face at somebody so long that it got stuck that way. And he eats spinach and he says, or not like ugh. It's more like, and an odd duck goes by the name of Popeye, and he's looking for his olive oil, and he's waking you up because he cannot find his olive oil. What in the world are you gonna do?
Well,
to Popeye the Sailor Man.
I say, let's pop that spinach and get to it, Popeye.
Yeah, you wouldn't be mad that he woke you up even though he's drunk as well?
Oh, I forgot he was drunk.
Yeah.
Shit. No, I'd go with him. I'd say, pour me a drink, and give me a big can of spinach. Let's do this.
It's like your gimmick. You guys would be perfect together. You
I know.
need a Popeye.
People
you
do.
Need to be Popeye,
it's actually
right?
very common that people are like, "You need spinach." Like people say that a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. I guess you would just help him. Maybe he's looking for some oil to put on his pan, or maybe he's looking for a woman. We'll never know.
We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, join us next time. That's it.
We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, guys.
I am what I am, and that's all that I am.